Good afternoon, Fall River. I'm Mayor Paul Coogan. We're here today to celebrate, or commemorate, I should say, Juneteenth. As I did some research on this day, it was a time in American history that is a very dark period. Literally, Juneteenth celebrates the freeing of people 2+ years after the Emancipation Proclamation, when they were almost held against their will way down in Galveston, Texas. They literally shut people off from coming in to tell these people that they were free to go wherever they want and they were equal to everybody else in the country. And again, in reading about this, you realize, hopefully, how far we've come that we would even allow something like that to go on for 5 minutes. It's a very solemn time, but it's also a time when people were finally starting to breathe the air of freedom and get their feet under them. And for that, we're all grateful today. And I can't thank you enough for coming out to join with us in this commemoration of Juneteenth. We have a very brief program for everybody today. And first things first, we have one of my former students, been a friend of mine for, I don't know, 10, 15 years anyway. She's going to grace us with one of her songs, Danny Haskett.
Lift every voice and sing to earth and heaven, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the glistening skies. Let us march proud as a rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has brought us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising skies, but as the glistening skies, let us march on till victory is won.
That was great, Danny. Next up is a new friend of mine. I haven't known her that long, but I do like talking to her because she's not afraid to tell me what she thinks, which I do appreciate. Asia Grice will read the Juneteenth Proclamation, if you'd be so kind.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for coming. I just want to thank the mayor and the commissioner for definitely having an openness and an understanding and helping us celebrate this. So I commend you both and thank you. The City of Fall River Proclamation. Whereas Juneteenth, a day of reflection, a day of renewal, a prideful day, it is a moment in time taken to appreciate the African American experience. It is inclusive of all races, ethnicities, and nationalities, as nothing is more comforting than the hand of a friend. Whereas Juneteenth serves symbolically in the reality as a reference point from which to measure and appreciate the progress and contributions made by African Americans to this society. Whereas Juneteenth, a day on which honor and respect is paid for the suffering of slavery. It is a day on which we acknowledge the evil of slavery and its aftermath. On Juneteenth, we talk about our history and realize because of it, there will be forever a bond between us. Whereas on Juneteenth, we think about the moment in time when the enslaved in Galveston, Texas, receive word of their freedom. We imagine the depths of their emotions, their jubilant dance, and their fear of the unknown. Whereas Juneteenth is a day that we commit to each other, the needed support as family, friends, and co-workers. It is a day we build coalition that enhances African American economics, Whereas on Juneteenth, we come together young and old to listen, to learn, to refresh the drive to achieve. It is a day where we take one step closer to better utilize the energy wasted on racism. Juneteenth is the day that we pray for peace and liberty for all. Now, therefore,
Thanks, Aisha.
thank you.
Now therefore, I, Paul Coogan, Mayor of Fall River, do hereby proclaim June 19th, Juneteenth. I'm going to go off the program for 1 second, Rob, and let our new chief of police come up and say a few words. I've got to know him a little bit better lately as we made our way around the city of Fall River. Jeff Cardoza.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not going to talk too much. I really think that this is all about, on this special day, about really me listening, having, big ears and a small mouth, if you will. But I want to thank the mayor for inviting me to this special occasion. I want to thank everybody here for coming to celebrate this special occasion. One thing we talked about last week, I know some of you folks weren't 2 weeks ago weren't here, that I'm kind of excited about, is we recognize as an organization that we don't have enough diversity, if you will, in our agency, where there's only 8 black officers. So I've had the opportunity over the last couple of weeks to talk with a lot of them, and we had some good heart-to-heart conversations about different stuff. What's coming out of that is we're not just going to have a panel that's going to meet with people, but what I'd like to do is have a recruitment unit that's going to go out to some of the high schools, some of the community colleges, and UMass Dartmouth, BCC, and we're actually going to bring these officers out to work with the kids in Fall River, the kids outside of Fall River that might be interested in coming on and being a part of the change, if you will, being a part of our organization. So I'm thrilled to talk about that today. If any people want to talk with me about it after, I'll be more than glad to do that. And thank you. Happy Juneteenth.
I now like to introduce our featured speaker. Many of you know him as the former basketball coach at Bristol Community Colleges. He's now the Multicultural Affairs Director for Bristol Community College, Rob Delano.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Chief, for those words. My speech today is kind of going on actionable items and how we can, as a community, come together, and hearing that you're already doing that and taking the initiative is extremely important for what we're trying to accomplish as a city, as a country, and maybe within ourselves as each other, as we can hold each other accountable as we can. Mayor Coogan, City of Fall River, Bristol County, Bristol Community College, and our youth who have helped organize this event, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here and to be in this position to speak as a black man in America, a father, a loyal employee of Bristol Community College, a taxpayer locally, statewide, federally. I come to you as a mentor, an influencer of peace, an educator, a coach, and a man of faith. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Rob Delano. I'm a first-generation college student who was raised by a single mother who made me keep 2 promises. One was to keep dreaming big always. 2 was to always help those in need, no matter what. When I was younger, I really didn't understand what that truly meant, but as I become older and more mature in my days, I really now start to figure this out and what it truly means. With that said, I recently wrote a letter to my college immediately after the George Floyd execution and pointed out the obvious fact that racism is alive and well. As I wrote my Jerry Maguire memoir, I submitted it to the president of our school, and I did not know how she would respond to such a letter. The letter was bold and compared racism to a disease, and I compared how COVID-19 pandemic has affected us all, but I wanted to speak to our community how this disease affects black and brown people. I wanted them to know how insidious this disease was and how it, for 400 years, it has claimed in numerous lives, and I wanted them to really highlight the disease as racism. Just like COVID-19, we cannot easily determine who the carriers are, who will personally be affected by it. It is unpredictable at times, and it can simply take your last breath away. You cannot wash your hands to be rid of it. Those who once wore masks or hoods have decided to remove them in exchange for other attire, ignoring the cries of thy neighbor and society to fulfill and preserve self. No vaccination has been invented that can halt the spread of this disease. Immunity to the consequences of this virus has been reserved for the privileged or the advantaged people. We have tried to heal using treatments like kneeling, nonviolent social movements, and peaceful protests. Such remedies have worked at times, but at other times they have not. As many have undermined these efforts by ignoring the hurt and using baited anger through social media visualization to create a platform to satisfy their hate towards movements and others, ignoring those who are asking for help. Countering movements by supporting alternative movements and ignoring our needs will never unite this country. Although frustrating, we cannot give up. We must prevail. As a black man first, I do not want incidents like the murder of George Floyd, false accusations made by Amy Cooper in New York, or the shooting deaths of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia and Breonna Taylor in Louisville to be desensitized. As a black man in America, I want peace for our children and our families, and I want peace finally for us all. As leaders of all of Fall River, all of Bristol County, and all of Bristol Community College, we must take a stand to vow that this will not happen here. On our watch, to our community, to our children, and to the amazing citizens. We must learn to protect one another by listening and taking actions for injustices. In my time at Bristol, I have had the honor of meeting and collaborating with many of you in this room and those who are watching me on TV. I want you to know that you are amazing and that you are what makes America great. No slogan nor political affiliations should ever be greater than what you and I can do together. In my role as Director of Multicultural Affairs at Bristol Community College, our president and many great faculty and staff are open to serve you as a place of safety, equity, and unity. We are open to conversations about equity, diversity, and inclusion. My position was developed to be a voice for students with specific goals targeted at bridging equity gaps for students of color by diminishing barriers that exist for them. I am here as an advocate to provide race and ethnic programming, to build leadership outlets and review policies that may present as obstacles for our youth, students of color, and other identities throughout the country and county. I am here today not just to give a speech for you to listen and forget about tomorrow. I am here to ask all leaders of Fall River and Bristol County to come together and unify against this infectious disease and heal by recognizing and celebrating with our brothers and sisters on Juneteenth. And beyond. If we truly care about all our communities, it is up to every one of us to be part of this cure. Ask yourself, as a leader in higher education, mayor's offices, school districts, police and fire departments, banks, and the list goes on, are we hearing and listening to what is being said and what is hurting thy neighbor? Are we creating and implementing enough solutions and opportunities to educate our constituents and communities inside and outside our areas of influence? Or are you being complicit in your silence? I know these people who are protesting every day since the execution of George Floyd are doing what they can. They are influencing how they can through protesting to make a difference in this world for others. The diversity and togetherness of this movement is a beautiful thing. And we as leaders need to step up and let them know that they are heard, that we are listening, and we shall carry on. Hoping that they quiet down is not the answer. We need to work with them and make a change because we are all tired of doing this over and over again. In order to do that, we must know that systematic racism is a thing. This is not made up. Yes, there has been improvements, but we still have a long way to go. We all can do more to be change agents in our circles and communities, no matter your race or background. Our youth is showing us this right now. Note to yourself that systemic racism is caused by slavery, Jim Crow laws, and other forms of discrimination that still impact Black and African Americans in 2020. While we can't change the past, we can all be part of changing the future. Each person has the power to take part in actionable items that break down barriers and create a more equitable playing fields for us all. One way we are doing this at Bristol is through open dialogue within the person's educational journey. Throughout the summer and fall of 2020, my department, Multicultural Affairs, will be spearheading 6 social justice forums that deal with various social issues. These forums will serve to educate, inform, and impact our college community by creating solutions and tools for our professional staff, faculty, and students to use. By doing this, we hope that all participants take what they learn in these forums and use them to create change in their own professional lives. Another way, by supporting the youth movements, be there for them and give them the space to lead. Community leaders is not just for the elders. Our youth is proving this now. And finally, self-reflect. Youth is motivating this movement, but what will motivate you to make a change? We all learn more and more by creating a relationship with your heart and spirit through your own humanity. You can begin to truly understand. Before I end today, I would like to end with a quote by Ralph Ellison. I am invisible. Understand simply because people refuse to see me. Like the bodiless heads you see sometimes in a circus sideshows, it is though I have been surrounded by mirrors of hard, distorting glass. When they approach me, they only see my surroundings, themselves, or figments of their imagination. Indeed, everything and anything except me. I want the city of Fall River and our youth movement and that put on such a great event today to understand that I see you. Many of us here, Mayor Coogan, you just heard from the chief, we are beginning to open our eyes to see you. Together we are stronger. Continue doing this work. It is not for nothing. This will not die out in my area, and hopefully it will not die out in any of your circles. If you can influence by telling a parent or where you are in your jobs to make this fair and equitable for our young people and for ourselves moving forward, please let's do so. Thank you. God bless. Appreciate it.
Well, nothing I love better than following that. That was a great speech, Rob, and it was really important, your message, and I really appreciate you joining us today. It means a lot. I do have to acknowledge 2 of my colleagues that have, through all the years I've ever known them, their first thing was to help others and to help kids. Tommy Corey on the school committee and Mimi Larrabee on the school committee. Thanks for coming. We just have a few things left. I want to introduce another good friend of mine. I've known her forever. She's an attorney, Karina Valencia, to do a short reading of for Juneteenth.
This is the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction.
And now we have a final song from Danny Haskett. Thanks, Danny.
I was born by the river in a little tent, oh, and just like that, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movies and I go downtown. Somebody keeps telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. There's been times where I thought I couldn't last very long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. I said change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
We'll have a few closing remarks from another lifetime friend of mine, Nikita Vieira.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nikita. To add on to Attorney Valencia's remarks regarding the 13th Amendment, with the adoption of the 13th Amendment, the United States found a final constitutional solution to the issue of slavery. The 13th Amendment, along with the 14th and 15th, is one of the trio of Civil War amendments that greatly expanded the civil rights of Americans, more notably for Black and African Americans. Today, we congregate as a community of like-minded, forward-focused leaders, recognizing that there is still much work to be done to correct the travesty of slavery and the remnants of segregation. Mindful that Fall River is a city rich with diversity, but as a community, we do not always acknowledge the important contributions of the underrepresented populations among us. Motivated that through our joint efforts, we can effect positive change and create a culture of community for Fall River residents. Thank you, Mayor Coogan, for your commitment to increasing awareness and visibility of the diverse populations here in Fall River. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Truly appreciate it. Happy Juneteenth.
came out today. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the social distancing and the masks. And thank you very much. And as everyone knows, these forums will continue, and we'll keep you abreast of what's coming next. But again, what? Oh, yeah, that's something I forgot to tell you. So what we're going to do for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is we're going to light the Government Center in red color to commemorate Juneteenth. And you'll see it as you go by on the highway either day. And again, thanks everybody for coming out. We really appreciate it.